Everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Christina and today is actually going to be a trying new makeup video. I haven't done one of these in a really long time, but I have kind of collected a good bit of new makeup that I haven't tried yet, and so I figured we would try some on camera today. So a little while ago I made an order to Sephora. I've made an order to Sephora and Ulta within the last couple of months, and I haven't tried any of the new things, so I really want to dabble into the Sephora items today because one of the items was a foundation that I saw you guys recommending a lot, which was the Haus Labs Triclone foundation. This thing, it apparently went viral. So I wanted to try this, picked it up, and that's what we're gonna do. I will be doing some shots outside in daylight to show what the foundation looks like and everything. And overall, I'm just really excited to jump into this. I feel like, yeah, I haven't done a video like this in a really long time. So let us just go ahead, put these clips in my bangs and zoom in. Take a sip of coffee here. So I took last week off from filming because I went to Orlando with my family, and since we've gotten back, we've been back for a few days now, I haven't worn makeup like a single time, and I feel like my skin is looking overall pretty good for my skin. I of course have my traditional redness here, my veins you can see pretty well, but just this redness I think is just a natural part of my face at this point. But beyond my little bit of redness and my veins peeking through my skin, I don't have any active blemishes, I don't think, right now. None that I can see, no active blemishes. I have a couple fine lines on my forehead, and I do get creasing around this fine line on my mouth. So I'll be looking in those areas today, but otherwise, foundation should lay pretty nicely on me. I have pretty much normal skin, a little oily in my T-zone, dry in some other areas, but overall nothing too extreme on either end. Shouldn't be anything too surprising. So we're gonna just go in with my primer, which Milk Makeup sent me this primer a while ago. This is their Hydro Grip Primer, and it's really similar to the e.l.f. Jelly Pop Primer, which you guys know is my holy grail favorite, and I have tried this one in the past. I tried a trial size back when we still lived in California, so this had to be 4 or 5 years ago when this first released. So I haven't tried it since then, but they sent me a full size, so I figured why not today try it. I'm going to be doing this as like my testing side for things that I don't normally use, and then this side is going to be like my tried and true side. So I'm not going to put primer on this side to see how this foundation does, but I will put it on this side to see if it works well with it. There we go. I haven't used this in a long time, so I don't remember. I think I probably put enough for my whole face, unfortunately. I'm so used to the Jelly Pop that the smell is a little off-putting of this one. But it's supposed to be tacky, like the e.l.f. Jelly Pop. But I'm gonna go ahead and get into the foundation while I'm applying this to one side of my face. So like I said, I have the Haus Labs Triclone Skin Tech Medium Coverage Foundation with Fermented Arnica. That name really rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? You can find it either at Haus Labs' website or on Sephora's website for $45, so it is not a cheap foundation by any means. By any stretch of the imagination is that an affordable foundation in my mind. This foundation comes in 51 shades, and this packaging is super luxurious. It is so heavy. This is basically a weight, but it looks really nice. It has frosted glass. The top comes off. There's a pump included, and just everything about this is very, very nice looking. So you're also paying for the experience of having something like this. This foundation originally released in September of 2022, so it hasn't been out very long, but when I asked you guys for a foundation to try, a lot of you guys said this was a really good one. And from my research, it seems like this went super viral on TikTok. It has 9 billion views on this on the hashtag for this foundation. It has 9 billion views on TikTok, which I don't have TikTok. I looked this up to find out information on this. That's a lot of views. Billion? That's a lot. So it went viral, and a lot of people were talking about how good it is. So we'll see. We'll see how it does on my skin. This comes from the clean section of Sephora. It is a clean foundation, and from what I've read about it, it was formulated in a lab in Korea where they included a bunch of skincare items into this and took out all of the bad stuff, essentially. So it's supposed to have a lot of really good effects for your skin. Lady Gaga apparently wore it on a bunch of red carpets testing it, and she said it did great. According to the box, they say to apply this with a brush or your fingers. I feel like it's going to be full coverage if I use a brush, so I'm going to use my fingers, which I don't like doing, but I figure it says it on the box, so that's what I'm going to try and do. I found out about this foundation also from Taylor Wynn, who has talked about it a ton on YouTube, and she loves it. And we have similar-ish skin types. So fingers crossed. So the shade that I picked is 040 Fair Neutral. Just based on reading the undertones online, it looks like this is a pretty decent match. I really hate using my fingers. And I feel like this is the primer side first. I feel like, yeah, it's pilling a little bit with this primer. Oh yeah, it's pilling. You'll see that? Okay, the Milk Hydro Grip may not have been the best choice for this foundation. I'm gonna go in on the other side with no primer with a brush, which this is my Sigma Flat Kabuki, and see what it looks like with a brush. I don't know if this is medium coverage. This is pretty much covering everything for me. Okay, on the side with my fingers, I'm gonna go in with the brush because I'm wondering if the residue primer on my fingers is what was making it pill. Because it did okay on my forehead with the brush. It honestly looks better on the side without primer to me though. It looks a little patchy with this primer. So the Hydro Grip, this was the issue I had with the Hydro Grip before, was that it made certain foundations pill and I had a hard time using it and figuring out which foundations do the best. I probably just need to look into the ingredients list of everything, but that's a lot of work for me. So I do think it actually applies really well with the brush. My skin does look remarkably still skin-like. It's looking a little tiny bit heavy right here, but I think that's because I initially put it on with the brush right there on my face. Okay, so y'all are seeing the clip from outside in natural daylight, and I think it's pretty obvious to see that, especially on the Milk Makeup Primer side, it's clinging to my pores a good bit. Also, I noticed there's some areas where it doesn't look like it's blended in, and wiping my chin and around my mouth, it's transferring immediately, but I'm not gonna like worry about the transfer too much just because I haven't set it yet. I haven't done all of the other stuff that I typically do on top of my makeup, but for right now, it's a little unsettling that it's like kind of easy to smear, but I'm hoping once it's all set and other products are on top, that it'll feel better. I'm tapping my face now and it does feel tacky on both sides, primer side and without. More tacky on the primer side, which is to be expected with that kind of primer. But definitely wouldn't use the Milk Makeup one with this. I'm sure the ingredients clash, which is probably why. So I also picked up a new concealer to try. And this is a brand that I've wanted to try for a really long time. This is the Kosas? I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce this. It's the mini size of this little concealer. So this concealer was $15. The full size is $30. And it's supposed to also have a radiant finish. It's also from the clean beauty section in Sephora. And it's supposed to be good for covering dark circles and medium coverage at most. And I got mine in the color 1.5C. And originally released in the beginning part of 2021, I believe. So it's been out for a while. A lot of people have tried it. I just hadn't yet, and I was curious, so let's see how this does, covering up the blue around my eyes and hopefully brightening up my under eye area a little bit more. Ooh, actually this tone looks like it might just be my skin tone, so it may not do as much brightening as I tend to like. I'm just using my e.l.f. Cookies and Cream sponge, which I don't think they have anymore, which is upsetting. I really like the sponge. I need to look online and see, but I haven't seen it in stores lately. It covered up my blueness a good bit. The blue areas around my eyes are really dark, mainly just because my veins are so visible. Let me put a little bit on my eyelid and see if it covers up these veins. I'm not going to do very much because this is pretty, it says medium coverage, which it's definitely, I think, on the higher end of medium coverage in my opinion. But it could also just be because I'm not covering up very much, you know? Maybe if I had more redness, or more stubborn redness rather, it would be harder to, it'd be easier to tell really how much coverage. But for me, I would say this is the high end of medium. I'm actually pretty pleased with that. It's not as brightening as I would typically like. I would like it to be like a half shade lighter or a whole shade lighter because I really like that area to pop, but overall it looks pretty decent. The next item I want to try, I'm actually the most nervous about, so I'm only going to do it on this eye, on my testing side, versus my regular powder that I would use on the other side. But just like, can we just talk about this for a second? What in the world of extraness is this? Why does Pat McGrath always seem to do this? It's like nice to a certain degree, but then the rest of me is like, now I'm gonna have sequins everywhere. You know for sure I'm gonna knock this bag over and there's gonna be sequins all over my floor and my kid's gonna eat them. So I don't really understand this, but this is the Pat McGrath Lab Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Blurring Under Eye Powder. What is it with these 5-mile-long names? This powder retails for $32 and comes in 4 shades on Sephora. And it's Pat McGrath. So I haven't had a stellar track record with Pat McGrath. I haven't been overly impressed with anything as of yet. So we'll see how I feel about this. This initially launched in the beginning part of 2020. And from what I saw when I was looking into all of these products for this video was the reviews for this started out really, really good, but the recent reviews haven't been as good. So I'm wondering within the 3 years of this releasing that they've changed the formula and it's not the same as it used to be. I won't know, but I can tell you what I feel about it now. But I also heard Taylor Wynn raving about this in her like 2022 favorites or best of video. And I've had it in my loves list at Sephora for a long time because she's mentioned it a lot. So I'm excited to try it, but also really nervous because the recent reviews just haven't been great. A lot of people on Sephora have been saying, oh, it's really dry. It emphasizes my lines. It looks cakey, stuff like that. So not great, but we'll see. We're gonna do it on the test side. It's out of its party bag. Overall, this doesn't feel expensive. It just feels like a regular plastic compact. So we'll see. Who is this mirror for? So I'm gonna do it on the test side. I'm just gonna pick up some powder. Oh, it's really, y'all see that? It has a lot of like, it's not really kickback. It's like smoke coming off of it. It's like it's on fire. So I'm gonna set my lid and my under eye. So this is supposed to be a blurring kind of powder. And it's also supposed to be a radiant finish. And just like lightly, it says light coverage. I got translucent, so I don't think I'll have any extra coverage. Well, here it is set, here it is not set. Honestly, it doesn't look bad right now. It doesn't look dry, in my opinion, right now. It looks really nice. So on the other side, I'm just gonna go in with my number 7 powder everywhere because it's a tried and true. I know it works, so I'm just gonna powder my entire face, including my under eye. And then I'll also go in on the test side and set my face, but avoid the under eye area. Honestly, I really can't tell. This side does look slightly more blurred to me, but not much. It's more noticeable on camera than it is in person. In person, I honestly can't tell a difference. So we'll see throughout me wearing this. I'll update everything in the description or in a pinned comment how this wore throughout the day. If I'm not, because I probably won't check in. Because right now I really can't tell a difference. I'm not having any creasing. It doesn't look drier or anything on either side. So I don't have a new bronzer to try, so I'm just gonna go in with my Juvia's Place bronzer real quick and then we'll talk about my blushes. So another thing I've actually been testing off camera is this e.l.f. Halo Glow liquid filter. Because I was hearing online people whispering that it's a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury like Hollywood filter, which if you've been here for a few years, you know, back like 3 or 4 years ago when that first released, the Charlotte Tilbury one, I wore it all the time. I finished it in like just a couple months because I would wear it alone as a foundation. This isn't quite the same. It is super affordable in comparison because obviously this is e.l.f. versus Charlotte Tilbury, a high-end brand, but this isn't quite a dupe in my opinion. The Charlotte one was just nicer. This one does an okay job. I'm not hating it, but I don't love it quite as much. So that's my opinion on this, but I am gonna use this to highlight my cheeks a little bit. And this is the lightest shade. So it does give me like a really natural kind of glow. So I'm just gonna add a little bit to my high points before I go in with my blush because I want a little bit more glow. But I think y'all can see, like it looks super natural. It's not like stark highlight, which you know I haven't been into lately. I feel like my child has moved something. Okay, for my blush, I had 2 of these on my desk at some point, but one has disappeared. The joys of having a toddler. So this is a Merit Cream blush. They sent this to me not too long ago. They sent me 2 of them. So this is Persimmon, and then I also have the shade Terracotta. The one that I'm missing is the one that I actually wanted to try in this video because I haven't worn it yet. I have been wearing Persimmon a lot lately in videos. So if you've been wondering what my blush is on occasion, it might have been this because I've been testing it. But again, this is the Merit Cream Blush. These are $28 on Sephora's website, and there's currently 8 shades. They just released 4 new ones, I believe. And overall, this is a really nice cream blush. It's really sheer and buildable, so it looks really good if you're not wearing any makeup, but also looks good on top of makeup and is easy to work with. I would call these like beginner-friendly blushes for cream blush because they're really, really buildable. So I'm just gonna go right in. Like I said, they're pretty sheer, so for me, I like a little bit more of an intense blush. So I had a few swipes, and I find that this works really well either with your fingers. I typically use a sponge though, just because I don't like stuff on my fingers very much. So Persimmon, the one I'm using, is defined as a soft orange red. In person, it looks more neutral. On camera, I can see the orange a little bit. I would not describe this as a red in any way, but that's just me. Maybe it looks more red on some people, but it does not look red on me. I love it. I think these blushes are so pretty. Like, undetectable on this skin. It didn't move the foundation at all. Still, ew, it all looks so smooth. Honestly, looking at my under eyes, I am creasing a little bit on both eyes, but less on the Pat McGrath side, but not much. So really last steps for me is eyes and lips. And for this, I did get a PR package from Alter Ego, which I haven't used their products in a while. I have this Artemis palette from them. They sent me a good many palettes. I think they sent me 3 or 4 palettes. And this one just really stuck out to me. I'm pretty sure is a Natasha Denona dupe. Pretty positive. The Safari palette maybe. But it's beautiful. I am just compelled and leaning towards these like yellowy and orangey shades right now, which is weird because it doesn't seem seasonally appropriate, but I'm really leaning towards all of these yellows and oranges up here in the corner. So I think I'm going to play with this one today, but they did send me a few palettes. They also sent me a butt ton of liquid lipsticks, but I'm not really into liquid lipsticks, but I did pick 2 out of the amount that they sent me to kind of look at. They don't look super different in the tubes to me. I can see it on camera a little bit better, but in person, like I was looking at these last night going, is this the same shade? But this is Crush and Euphoria. So I think I'm leaning towards Crush, this one right here, but Euphoria might look better with the blush. I guess let me swatch them on my hand real quick. Okay, so this is Euphoria. And this is Crush. Crush is definitely more of a me shade. I'm also going to be using some of the Alter Ego brushes. They sent me a little bag with a bunch of brushes in it. They're face brushes and eye brushes. So I'm going to use the eye brushes from in here. But let's go ahead and go in the eyes. I'm not going to use a primer on either side. And I'm just going to start grabbing some shades and do this really quickly. I'm probably just going to do an overall yellowish eye look with a shimmery lid, and if anything compelling jumps out at me while I'm doing this, I will talk, but otherwise we're probably just going to speed through this. I'm picking up the shade Hunt first, which is like a mustard yellow. I'm going to take some of the Pat McGrath powder and actually blend out the edges of this a little bit and see how that does. I'm going to take the shade Snare, which is like a deep rusty orange, and put that on the outer V to build up. Taking the shade Provoke, I'm going to put that on the lid with my finger. Taking one of the detail brushes, I'm going to take the color Obscure and put that in my inner corner. I'm also going to pick up the shade Bow and use that as a liner. It looks like a deep blue. Okay, so I think this is all I'm going to do for the eye look. Pretty simple. The shadows performed pretty well, and the eye brushes are actually surprisingly like nice. They're soft and helped blend pretty well. I do notice the eyeshadows are teeny tiny bit patchy if you overblend them, but otherwise not too bad. So like I said, I'm going to use the Alter Ego liquid lipstick in the color Crush. It's supposed to be a matte lipstick, which is a matte liquid lipstick isn't something that I wear like ever anymore, so we'll see how I feel about it. I mean, upon initial application of the liquid lipstick, it's not like super uncomfortable. It's not the most comfortable like thing because I can feel that there's like lipstick on my mouth, but it's not like overly drying. For a liquid lipstick, I'm not mad at it. I think it's pretty comfortable actually. And this is the whole look. Let me get a mirror. The eyeshadow did have a good bit of fallout, and the fallout's kind of sticking to my face. I tried brushing it away, but it still wants to stick. But I think the eyeshadow is really pretty. I think my skin looks okay. I definitely want to try out this foundation a lot more with different primers. I definitely don't like the side with the Milk Makeup primer as much. And with these lights, it's harder to see it, but out in daylight, it was definitely easier to tell where it was kind of like sticking funny. But I mean, overall, under these lights, I think it looks really nice. I'm excited to keep trying it out because I'm not like mad at how my makeup looks right now. We'll just see how it kind of wears. Again, I'll update you guys in a pinned comment how everything kind of wore throughout the day, what my thoughts were about it. By the end, I'll just put everything in there. I'll also have all these products listed in the description in case you are curious about any of them yourself. But surprisingly surprised by everything. I am most hopeful about the foundation just because, I mean, it's been hyped up so much that I want to see if I can get it there. I think I can kind of see where the hype is coming from with the foundation, but I haven't quite mastered the exact like combo of things probably to make me feel my absolute best. I'm gonna definitely try it again tomorrow with the Jelly Pop primer and see how I feel about that. So that, guys, is the entire video. If you like these kind of videos, let me know down in the comments that you would like to see more of this when I get new product in. I do have some other new products that I haven't tried yet. So let me know. Do we like these old school reviews? This like kind of first impressions thing? I will also update you guys in a video later on, probably this month after trying some more stuff, on how I feel about stuff I've tried. So keep an eye out for that. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet, and remember, there is always magic to be found, and I hope that means I see all of you in my next video. Bye!
Alright, ooh baby, just hold tight. We're up at the moonlight, believe in the magic. On side, we'll make it feel just right. Just look at that